Hi.
What's good?
Yo. And then let me try something different.
It's hump day.
Don't try that different.
No, now remember, like when you were young, you come in and say, yo, what's happening?
Yo.
So in tandem with this episode.
Yeah, so we have a new intro, nostalgia mode, just so Coming to America 2, take you back to your childhood, nostalgia city. Before Damola starts, because Damola is one of those people who it broke his heart.
Let us
introduce the episode first.
All right, fine. We're talking about movies that made our childhood.
He sounds so depressed.
Yes.
However,
because the movie just spoiled my childhood.
I guess finding out Hakeem had sex was destroying to young Damola.
Not that, but that he was sexually assaulted. First. And then everybody just jumped and passed and just kept it going. Like, nothing.
So, this is the meet and
Men
greet
have rights too. Men have rights.
in which men have rights.
Yes.
And also women, because, Zulu is our host with the most. Because we don't say hostess anymore. Everybody's a host. Just like
The funny thing is that they could have left me out of this episode and it would still be great because I have no childhood memories of any movies.
We're talking about the movies that made our childhood.
Yes, Damola is depressed.
Yes.
Childhood.
Because that movie basically wrecked my childhood. It basically just took me back and I was like, wow. I went back to watch part 1 just to clear part 2 off my mouth.
So.
No, but I liked it.
So did I.
What did you... So, okay, let's even start.
No,
what did you like about
Damola's,
it?
Nazi's like is that he liked it. Mine was just that I did not like it.
Okay, so what did you like about it? Let's start with what you liked.
So I think the
about
movie tells you what it is in the beginning. How can someone die at his funeral? Are we spoiling? No, but it's on Amazon, right? So how can someone die at his funeral?
So it was, so like this
and
is
what's
me.
next door, yeah? Like it tells you don't take us seriously.
So this, I agree with that. So for me, right, it was a good chance to hang out with people that I basically missed from growing up. Like I said it very simply, like when I tweeted about it, I'm a nostalgia puppet and I was happy to be puppeted around. Now, the other thing about that movie...
we're still discussing all the things that are good about
wait
it.
Now. So the other thing about that movie that it reminded me of was My Name is Dolomite, right? Because it was the same director.
Yes, I think he was in that.
He was in that.
space.
He was in that. So like it seems like they were trying to recapture that feel, and that was the vein in which you were expected to take the movie. So that was, it didn't have the same like feeling of, because welcome to Dolomite. Sorry, welcome to Dolomite.
Dolomite is my name.
Dolomite is my name. It's one of my, like, I love that movie. Like when I saw it in Toronto, like I literally had a ball.
I absolutely love it.
And I think that was sort of the type of thing they were going for, in my opinion.
No,
yes, but why are they going for that for the audience of Coming to America 1? That's the problem. The audience expected something and they gave us something else. They really did not meet our expectation. That's the issue.
See? So my own is, I love it for the nostalgia bit where they got everybody back. They got Sherry Shepherd? No, the love interest from part 1 was still his wife. They got what they call it, Arsenio Hall back. They got James L. Jones. One of my biggest fears was that, look, James L. Jones was going to die before they make this part 2. They brought him back just in time to kill him off. He's fine. They brought back everybody. Even the twin sisters that were rappers from the bar that were like completely throwaway characters. They brought all of those guys back. Reminded me of what's that one, Cobra Kai, which was basically Karate Kid, and then they brought everybody that was possibly in Karate Kid back for Cobra Kai. Great, absolutely love it. Then they now spoiled it.
So I don't think that spoil it.
Take the movie
right.
for what.
Yeah. So what I do agree with.
So what it is? I said what it is. What is it?
No,
it's
so
a
what
satirical musical.
So what I agree with is that I think the one thing I wish they did was but I also, budgets are different, right? Was what they did with Wakanda, which was that they showed that Wakanda was a fictional real place. Zamunda felt a little bit too.
Zamunda was a game reserve. Zamunda was basically Yankari game reserve.
So Wakanda,
there was nobody
you're watching a superhero movie. It's not real, right? So Wakanda is not real. And they even made it fictionally real. But Zamunda, you're not watching a superhero. You're watching something that's supposedly real, right? And then you're not giving us this fictional place.
To be fair, Zamunda always existed in an ideal. Like, it was never, like, for those of us watching it in Nigeria, Coming to America, you did not think Zamunda was a real country.
Yes, but you could have made it a real country.
See.
The same way a lot of movies talk about places that don't actually exist. But
Yes.
it's still a real things happen
Sakodia was a
there.
real
but
place.
Zamunda
Sakodia was
was-
a real place. Wakanda, look at it.
Zamunda is supposed to be a real
So look
place.
at
Not
it.
really.
Wakanda
But look
in
at the
Black Panther.
first one, right? There's an elephant running around, etc. However,
Yes!
However,
They even brought the elephant back. I'm not sure if it's the same elephant, but they brought an elephant back.
however, since we are not a movie review critique, go
Right.
watch the movie, make up your own mind.
No, let's not end this one. Just wait. Let me just tell you some of my
Damola,
problems. Let me just tell you some of my problems with this movie.
no, Damola, don't
There was nobody.
no
All right, I'll leave
problems,
it. I'll
no
leave it.
problems.
I'll leave it.
However, it got us thinking because it was also one of the only ones that basically revisited movies of our youth because it, Coming to America 1 charted on Netflix. It was number 2 behind Federalagada.
Because of people like me who went back to watch it after watching part 2.
So basically, it just tells you that like
You're right.
those and you are seeing that a lot of times these days, instead of making reboots, people are doing legacy sequels like Coming to America. So we bring back the characters you love from the first one and follow their story. The new Terminator was an example of that. The new
Cobra Kai is the best
yeah,
example.
so
of
Damola
this.
is, so that's the other thing. So Damola is clearly really into legacy sequels because he wants a sequel that gives him the same feeling as he had when he was a child.
Yes.
But sometimes that's not what sequels do. They also push the narrative forward.
And you do know that they're
I mean,
also trying
look.
to cater to a young audience that is not living in 1980.
But wait.
Or
now.
1960.
Crazy bitch say what? See, I like that. Like I actually like that. It was stupid,
Yes.
but I,
Uppity bitch say what?
yes, exactly.
No, I get. No, I like that bit. It was just
You
like all
see?
the other parts of the
Uppity bitch.
So-
say what?
all I'm saying is this, right? If you the legacy bits, I love the legacy stuff. So if you take Karate Kid, then Cobra Kai works. And I also love the ones where they expand on the world with every sequel. So if you take Fast and Furious or my favorite movie of all time, John Wick, then there's part 2, then there's
So
part
there's
3.
a trap where the next 40 minutes of this podcast will be John Wick. So on that note,
You guys are in
since
trouble. We're going to
none
discuss
of
John
us
Wick.
were 10 years old watching John Wick.
We are going to discuss. Oh, wait, so I can't
Zulu-
talk about John Wick.
No. So this is a no John Wick podcast because literally with 30 minutes of John Wick.
You're about to call my name to say what?
So basically, one day, if our producer lets us, we will have a Damola and himself talking to you about his John Wick theories. But that day is not today.
Don't worry.
The Damola special.
Next season,
coming
episode, our first episode of the
Episode
next
00.
season, 001. Will
Soon.
just
No,
be
it will
on.
probably be a lost tape. So Zulu, right? Is there any movie in your childhood that will give you the kind of rage that Damola has if the sequel did not live up to your expectations?
Willy.
Actually, maybe 10 things I hate about you.
That's actually a very good
It's one of my
movie.
favorite romantic comedies. So in my head, I was like, what could a sequel be? like,
For 10 things, 20 things.
so they
No,
have
but there's
dream
one
like-
problem because Heath Ledger is dead, so R.I.P. Heath Ledger.
Oh,
Yes,
number
yes,
one. But that was a really good movie.
Yes.
Julia Stiles.
I mean, it's a Shakespeare adaptation, so yeah, man, whatever, man.
And then I love Bring It On.
Yes.
But there's a Bring It On 2 that
There's a Bring It On 10.
I think there's
Yeah.
wait. There's more than 3 because I know there's Bring It On 1, Bring It On Again.
I think I only saw the
and
second
then
one
there were
and I
a
left
bunch
it.
of direct to DVD ones. So they,
Yeah.
but what if they did it? So because that's the interesting thing. You technically could do a legacy sequel of Bring It On because you can bring them back as mothers
Of the kids.
of kids.
Wait,
so
you want to bring Gabrielle Union back. Gabrielle Union was
She
trying
will still
to
do
dance.
it.
No, but you
dance
see,
by force
funnily enough,
in part
I'm
1.
telling you, right? Bring It On came out in the 90s. There was a video that referenced Bring It On, like a music video. I can't remember who, one of these ladies. And then, so I saw Gary went tweet about it, right? I guess the show notes will have the video for people to watch. And it's one of those things that has lasted partly because of the DVDs, etc. So I know people are thinking about what is the next IP2 remake, but I will watch the hell out of a Bring It On legacy sequel.
And then the other thing they should do is it's a remake, it's Violated.
A remake of Violated?
Yes.
Why can't you do a legacy sequel of Violated?
No, remake. We don't need a sequel. Just remake that film.
So instead of it being in the 90s, it's now in today's day and age with social media
But that's
playing a part.
interesting because you find that I think people prefer legacy sequels to remakes because it gives you something to hold on to versus a completely new idea. Funny enough, I actually heard Charles talking about this on Clubhouse, right? He was talking about the difference between Living in Bondage, which was a sequel, and Neka and Rattlesnake, which were remixed. This is one of the reasons why I actually wish Clubhouse things were recorded, because that was actually, he was really candid and he was really open about it. So eventually...
they record them. Maybe the host didn't record.
Okay, maybe we should get him on the podcast and ask him about that in detail. Basically,
so Charles, please, will you come on our show? Charles, we're asking him. Bros, I beg.
It would be interesting to get his perspective, because he has done both.
Yeah.
And for the Nigerian
He's like
audience.
the remake king, or
yes, I mean remake and
or
sequel.
legacy.
No, let's just say remake king, in the sense that Living in Bondage was awesome. Possibly, and I've said this several times, Living in Bondage, the first 5 minutes of Living in Bondage is possibly the best 5 minutes of Nollywood cinema. Because after seeing that scene where that guy takes his daughter into the bush, then kills her, and that song that she was singing, literally like haunting. That will get you to see through the rest of the movie. Charles, I beg, come on our show now.
Yeah, so it would be good to get his perspective, because we haven't gone down the remake route. I mean, we've done a bunch of sequels, and we have, so the power of IP is the power of IP, sequels, etc. And you find for us
intellectual property being IP.
Yes, IP, yes, sorry. But this is like episode 5, 6. They know what IP is now.
Is there a meet and greet dictionary?
Ah, wow, that is true. Show notes.
We shall be adding it in every episode. When we say something, bing, we'll write it on top.
So, I mean, so when we did, I mean, the first sequel we did was Wedding Party 2, obviously. And basically, I remember we only ever released one trailer, which was the accidental proposal. Everybody was like, yes, sold, we are done, right? And so, of course, it was Wedding Party 2. But we are finding that that just like history with DVDs, Nigerians have a sequel culture. They may insult you for making it but they're going to watch it.
Yeah, I mean.
They're going to watch it. Because we were debating for Kwam's money. Should we tie it to New Money, treat it like a standalone? Half the initial comments were like, great, a sequel to New Money.
Yes.
Because people like that connectivity.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, but it also was a good standalone movie.
No, but that's the thing about a sequel, right? It should be a standalone plus live up to the earlier ones.
Exit the earlier ones, please.
Well,
you must exit.
yes, of course. I mean, that's true, because it's one of the things that a sequel has to have a reason to exist in and of itself. It can't.
What now? There are a few sequels that I can remember that really have no point being around, ever created. You know.
So when Damola is doing his John Wick conversation, you can sneak that one in.
Yes, I'm looking at you.
So what movie would you want
Angels?
to remake? Oh, really?
Yes, the new one. God.
Oh, right. I thought you were saying
So Charlie's Angels, it's an interesting thing, but I actually honestly wonder if it's just a time thing, in the sense that the original Charlie's Angels was it was seen as a very the series was groundbreaking in the time. 3 women spies doing great stuff, right?
That was in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes, and so that was part of the whole first or second feminist big movement. And I remember then there was the rebirth in the 90s.
Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu, and Drew Barrymore.
That's the one I know.
Yeah, so
Farrah Fawcett was in the first one, right?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know how I have that fun fact.
Farrah Fawcett is the original Charlie's Angels.
And so you see, there was also that was the reawakening of the feminist movement, and it was seen as. But I think that with the third one, you are used to seeing female spies, so I don't know if it had the same impact as it would have had back then. It's almost similar to Tomb Raider, how Angelina Jolie as Tomb Raider was such a big deal because it was part of that wave of feminism. But I guess you were used to seeing more female heroes. Who knows?
I just forget. In my head, I can't remember the new Tomb Raider. There's only one Tomb Raider. Angelina Jolie.
So Damola clearly has films that are sacred and cannot be touched.
Please, anything with Angelina Jolie in it, stand alone.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Let's not get him to Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Let's now start talk about that.
So Damola's special episode will be Mr. and Mrs. Smith and John Wick and all the other movies you should not touch from him. So that's the weird thing, right? I don't really have any movies that I'm like, because I mean, it's weird, right? So I watched, as I said, my parents' video club, it was literally they knock yourselves out. And so I watched everything, right? And so there are films that I'm I'm interested to see what a new version of this is. Because when you watch movies, you realize that movies are remakes of remakes of remakes. People remake originals, they tell new stories. I mean, I loved Point Break, right? And then when I saw Fast and Furious, I was like, hey, this Point Break with cars. And I was I'm down with that. So I actually love the reinvention that is part of movies and cinema, which is that every generation wants to take something that they know and make it their own. And so that's...
Yeah, because there are only 6 stories, as they say. So every filmmaker that is aspiring should just pick one of the 6 stories and make it their own. Do something better about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Add something interesting, add some notes, just make it your own.
And Marvel has done that very well, right? They've basically taken archetypal stories and retold them via superheroes. Like they have, look at
We need our superhero movies in Nigeria. We
telling
need a
you
lot
that
of...
if for those of you that used to buy Vanguard back in the day, there was Captain Africa, someone should just do a movie about that one. The only problem was that at least give him more clots this time around because the guy had a mask and then loincloths and cape.
So that's an interesting thing, and it almost feeds off what Moses was talking about when we had him on, right? About basically figuring out how to do action, and superheroes is the language of action today, but so not to get too philosophical and technical, right?
Okay.
But, so one of the arguments that film scholars make is that superheroes were a reaction to 9/11 in America, right? The need for a power that could stop, traumatic events from happening.
So all the ones they did before, that they were power saver.
But think about it, there were almost no superheroes before 9/11. It was literally just Superman and Batman.
Gap. There was Superman, Batman, then there was a huge gap before Marvel now did what they call Iron Man.
So there was stuff before, right? Like Blade happened, right? So Blade happened, but Blade wasn't saving the world. It was like
it wasn't
street
saving the world. It
level.
was street level.
Snipes.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes. So
Fantastic in Come to America too. Did you love him?
So he basically played the same character from Dolomite Is My Name.
And that's a problem because he was great there too.
Yeah, and he was the same director. So just basically see that character.
Do it.
Rinse and repeat.
With African.
Yes.
Loved him. Anyway.
He had child soldiers.
It's okay.
Yes, that was a problem. But
There's so many
also
problems
was
with
it
the African
random
depiction.
African people don't let women work or own property? Wow, that was deep. But again,
See, the African depiction, if we start,
we won't finish.
Yeah.
So
Let's just leave
basically,
it.
it was
Good morning, my neighbors. And then animals answered back.
No
human beings.
Just
So again, the
no.
representation was...
Sorry. Can we use the F word?
Yes.
They fucked up. That African depiction thing, nah.
No, that was painful. But I like the movie despite that, which is weird and wrong and all of that thing. But that's a whole other thing. So back to this superhero conversation about it tapped into something about, it's just like how Godzilla was a reaction to the atomic bomb falling in Japan.
Yeah.
Like,
to
so
Hiroshima.
you don't create Godzilla if you don't go through that trauma.
So what story comes from NSAS?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, that's the point, right? So what do Nigerians need saving from?
Ourselves. Ourselves.
So I think, which is why...
We need saving from a lot of things.
No, so funnily enough, that is the thing. So your superhero stories are literally what... Like, let me give a simple example. Why Malaika Blue? I am my own champion, right?
Yeah.
It was a very, very strong feminist thing. And it tells you, like, when you see, like, how Femco emphasizes, like, women rising up to take charge of stuff is a thing that I think will resonate.
But you can also see it another way, right? Because you know how in Nigeria, your own local government, you're providing water, power, all of those things for yourself, security.
Yeah, superhero.
You're basically a superhero in yourself, and you are your own champion, which is why...
I'm sorry, did you just co-opt a feminist slogan to all men too?
No,
wow.
No, you messed up because women do provide their own power.
Thank you.
He
generalized it.
No, I don't.
but it wasn't a gender thing.
No, this is not a Black Lives Matter. They're all lives matter.
It sounds like it to me.
I'm just saying this.
I'm saying,
this is an all Nigerian lives matter conversation. It is sense.
No, but
all of us have got to. So we are our own superheroes.
So I think that
is true, man.
And that is also valid, even though I still say that it's a feminist slogan for it. It's like all those men that were telling Femco, please change your slogan to include the male look, and we're like, Uncle, please, go and create your own logo.
But then the background.
To be honest, when I was reading those tweets, I was confused. Like, you left your house,
but there's
saw
still a lot
someone's
of
Lego,
education.
and added the male symbol and said, this is what your symbol should be.
You guys forget that everybody's educating themselves day in, day out by themselves.
They're learning.
Yes, hopefully after saying that nonsense, and people like you guys called them out, hopefully one person learned from that nonsense. One.
Maybe one and a half. He changed his mind when he go.
So I'm saying, so which is why I believe that Nigerians, we understand the concepts of superheroes, but it doesn't sit with us because we are used to doing our own thing. With a lot of other developed countries, the police will come to your rescue, the government will come to your rescue. In our own case, we come to our own rescue.
No, so then that argues for street level heroes, like a street level hero that basically can do the threats that from an everyday perspective.
So you're looking for a vigilante?
Yeah, a vigilante, like a daredevil.
But a vigilante that gets his powers from like Shango or Hamadioha.
So that's the supernatural element to it.
Or like a Yemoja, you know?
Because we don't believe in saving the world, but in the sense of like that kind of hero is not. But here's the question though: is that a movie or a TV series? Because it almost feels like a TV series.
That's a TV series.
It's not a movie.
That is what's that guy now? Fade Yoloro. Oh shit! You guys never saw that on TV? Fade Yoloro was one Yoruba guy who was just like a jazz man and just used to show up, and then he used to do like just jazz.
Really?
Yeah, so fire from his hands. He was like unbeatable, unstoppable, everything.
Interesting.
So that's basically like so there's a version of a Spider-Man. No, we don't. Because it's the level of abstraction of.
I don't look like cockroach girl.
No, but technically, Anansi, that's Ghanaian, but hey, we stole their music. We can't steal their that
mean, Anansi can walk. No, it's American Gods now. That's from American Gods, right?
No, Anansi is like an actual.
Yeah. But I'm trying to remember where I heard Anansi. Yes, it was
so don't say that. Say you read about it first, and then you saw it a second time.
No. There's the books. There's the books.
That's a nice save.
That I read. The one about his sons and all of this. I know those ones. I read those ones. But this is a film, something.
Well, for the rest of you that are like me, I don't know what these guys are talking about.
Yeah. So, but basically, I think you're right.
What is Anansi?
No, Anansi is the spider god.
Spider god is basically the god of mischief. So it's basically the African version of Loki.
Yes.
Oh, Loki.
And he had children. And many wives. Yes. It was a whole thing.
Okay.
As an African, should that be? Just,
I mean, and so because we've heard it's interesting because so people have been pitching about a lot of the Yoruba pantheon, right?
Yeah.
As to gods and all of that. And it's interesting because because back then when there are battles between warring tribes, etc., saving the world was built into that framework because the world was us. So the question is, will saving the world resonate today? Like Nigerians going out to save the world, like space sweepers. So if there was Nigerian space sweepers, where it's Nigerians that need to save the entire world, how do you think that would play out?
It won't work. We won't save the world. We'll just, save the corner of the world that is your family and your friends and just tell them that the rest of you will be okay.
But we actually intentionally have to start saying this thing about saving the world or doing world things because that's what America does.
Yes.
That's what they do.
And
everything is.
Damola said, no, we can never save the world.
I'm just saying, save your local government, first of all.
Call your local government the world. That's the idea. Because all these heroes
that's what we
save
can relate
their world,
to.
but they call it the world.
No, but that's what you can. Okay, well, I understand that where in almost every comic book, right, they always attack New York. And then they save New York, and they're like, yes, we've saved the world. And then remember,
that reminded me about Independence Day. It was hilarious. So, because I watched Independence Day in England, and then, so after, in that big speech, the world will call July 4th our Independence Day. My cousin was like, that's not my Independence Day. I don't know what he's talking about.
I want to October 1st. No,
exactly.
Wait, sorry. Thinking about that, it just reminded me of some other thing that pained me about Independence Day. When all the ships were coming down, they now showed Africa, and they also showed a bunch of half-naked people with spears running through the bush. And then I'm like, did they show the spear?
Bush again.
No, but you see, and that is something about what made me want to be a filmmaker. Representation. If you let other people tell your story, they will tell the version of the story that works for them.
Yes.
So to them, seeing a quasi-Maasai tribe with spears was African ingenuity. But in my mind, it's like everybody else has brought down the spears. So what that one literally looks like is that they waited for it to fall down and started dancing around it. And so it basically speaks to the lack of capability of Africans, whether it's intentional or not, which is why when people talk about representation globally and saying, it's good to see Black love on screen. I'm like, hello, that's what we do. And it's about telling your stories on the highest stages. Because it's weird, it's good to see Black people playing sports. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Excuse me?
As you've been talking, I'm trying to remember where I read or who was even talking about what I read. That she said she had never seen a black mermaid. And so, is there a black mermaid anything that's happened. No. I mean like a show, an American show.
They just announced Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid,
one of the Haley Chloe sisters.
Haley Bailey.
I'm not sure which one.
Oh, there's going to be a black mermaid.
Yeah. So by Little Mermaid is not going to be black.
Isn't our mermaid, Mami Water?
Our Mami Water that we all talk about.
They're actually black.
But you see, that is the representation point. So
exactly.
So
we need to.
Nobody has opened Mami Water on 10,000 screens globally.
Yeah.
The day you open that, nobody will ask you a question.
Yeah.
And this is also the point for commercialization of films. The commercial films. We need to.
Because those commercial films go far, and then that's where you can now tell your story. So everybody now understands what it means to do a Nigerian wedding and the scale and the opulence of a Nigerian wedding off the back of movies like Wedding Party. Yeah. Because now that sells that idea.
And that travels.
Right? And that can travel. Because in almost every culture, I mean, I've got a friend of mine who goes, so are all your weddings like that? And I'm like, yeah, standard.
Well, for the most people. Most people.
Everybody.
So basically, people max out their budget relative to their budget.
Yes, now, but when you think about it,
it's always big.
Our average weddings here are 500 people thereabout.
I'm sorry.
500 people thereabout, right? But then to someone who lives in like the US, maximum people 20, 30, 40, 50.
Yes, and they'll say, oh, that's a big one.
That's a big one at 50. And I'm like, 50, that is just half of, that's my mother's side.
Yeah, that's my brother's guest.
And you're fighting over how many, only 5 tables.
Table care.
So the question about that is, what do you do when, and this is one of the things that that Mo has always spoken about, like the ability to tell our stories for us and for the world.
Yeah.
To basically contextualize what our stories can be globally. So us, I mean, we're 3 people and we focus on Nigeria broadly. And so if you read the release of the show, we can talk about, my quote there was basically doing that showcase and seeing Netflix, seeing other streamers looking at doing stuff is something that's very interesting to us because we are reframing our stories and the people who are getting to tell those stories are Nigerian.
Yes.
And at that scale, I mean, look at what South Africa as well did, Blood and Water,
Queen
Sono, and all the other ones they've announced.
Yeah.
I remember reading some American talk about Blood and Water, that one of the things they really liked about it was that the Fikele, I think that's her name, was a swimmer.
Fikile.
And and it's rare for them to see black women swimmers. You know all those jokes in America about black
people can't swim,
and all of that. And it was very normal because in Nigeria, swimming is like the main activity that kids learn. Like it's one of those things that are part of. And it's just interesting about how when you tell your story, you tell what's normal to you.
And then to other people, it's like, oh, really? That happens?
Yeah.
I think that even just vexing.
Which is why coming to America too.
I just want to get to a point where they will stop referring to all of us as Africans and that they can actually identify that that's Nigeria, that is Ghana, that is this.
So, but do you know what's going to actually drive that?
What?
It's the second, third generation immigrants in those markets.
Eh?
Yes, because the separation is happening. So if you look at something like Bob Hart's Abishola, right?
Yeah, Bob Hart's Abishola, yeah?
Yes, that is about a Nigerian American family, right?
Yes.
And falling in love with a white guy, right?
Yep.
So the specificity of Nigeria in that is because the creator is of Nigerian descent, right?
Yes.
So it's not that outside in part of it is not it's unlikely to change that narrative because you don't make stuff for their culture.
I mean, look, this is what I'm even saying. I would even just like it. I would even take it if you're bad. You know how if you're talking about an European bad guy, it's usually German or Russian.
No, all the Eastern European countries, and they didn't even define the country. Just said Eastern European.
That's new. But before, look at all James Bond.
Okay, this
baddies.
is nostalgia thing again.
Yes.
See, it's 30 years ago that he's doing.
No,
it.
But that's the title of this episode.
Yes, now, but look at it now. All the James Bond baddies were either villains, were either Germans.
Yeah,
Russians.
East German, Russian.
Yeah, Russian. Or you have a few Asians in there for good measure.
Communism clearly was the bad
It was
guy.
by hand. So that's it, right? I would like a
People
situation
really
where
do
you
their
can...
films according to what they are experiencing.
Yes. I would like a situation where you can just take us and just say, okay, Nigerians have to be the bad guy. And we're just the bad guys.
So, yes and no. How did you feel when you watched Jason Bourne?
Jason Bourne? Proud that the guy said, okay. I was like, yes!
Really?
Yes!
Really? I just felt that like
somebody spoke my language.
Yeah, but it felt like, so it wasn't as bad as the Wolverine one where we felt like a pure prop, but it just felt like...
See, the one that you can complain about, for example, is District 9. where the Nigerians were just bad.
No, but you just said
there
Nigerians want to be bad guys now.
No,
Technically,
no,
you should be happy about District 9.
No, District 9 was that Nigerians were just bad, but there was nothing about it. Those guys could have been from anywhere in the world. But the Nigerian guy, they actually got a Nigerian guy in Jason Bourne to play the Nigerian villain, and the guy spoke Yoruba on top. Although the Yoruba was a bit dodgy, but he spoke Yoruba. I'm like, yes.
So
That's my guy.
Okay,
You know,
so
the bad guy is my G.
Yes.
So I would like to reframe
Gotcha.
and basically say that if you are a villain that is a realized villain as opposed to a stock villain,
Yes.
it's fine.
That's
But
what I want.
if you don't engage
Uh-huh.
or you're from next Doria,
I mean, basically, you did not bother
then-
to name the country. They're
then-
next door.
after Nigerians playing bad guys in Hollywood films, the one that matters to me is Nigerian play guys in Hollywood films.
Shagwarize!
Kanayo.
Kanayo.
So
I'm serious, man.
Because funny enough, one of the things that Nollywood is good at is creating villains. Like we know how to create people that do bad, that resonate so much so that censors board. Your villain cannot get away. Oh.
Yeah.
No, but you realize that. What do you call this one? Checkmate. Who remembers Checkmate? RMD, his first role was he was a villain in Checkmate. So Egoboyo, protagonist in same year, Checkmate. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Nobody?
yeah, yeah.
Anybody? Nobody?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. Bye-bye.
And maybe it's part of this whole the country is hard. So it's the people that we know how to dramatize the people how to get you.
My enemies.
I mean, my favorite
That's
bad
true.
guy
Every Nigerian has enemies. So.
is from a movie called More Than a Woman. It was Saint Obi and oh my God, why am I blanking on her name? Stephanie Okereke, where she was a thief and he was the policeman assigned to get her,
they
and
were
then they fell in love.
There are a bunch of bikers and all
Yes.
that. They wear like helmets and all of
Yes,
that.
and then at the end of part 1, he walks into her flat and she's in her mask and then they fight and then her helmet falls off and then they realize and then the theme song comes in.
Bam.
That's the danger of it all.
Cliffhanger. Oh,
So
man.
when
And then Jemike, the bad guy.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Who was
Ultimate
in
bad guy.
the setup as
Yes.
a bad guy.
As the bad guy.
That's the bad guy.
Right. And so so I remember when I Googled, because I actually watched it, funny enough, it was one of the ones I saw before I wandered into the abroad. And there was actually there was an article, there was a, what's it called about it? There was a scholarly article about it, about, the role of, about women in Nollywood and the portrayals, etc., etc. And it took this weird thing where it was like, basically, some people complain about the portrayals of women in Nollywood, and it used that Domitilla, I think there was a third one about the examples. And I think those types of articles and that perception has haunted Nollywood today, that people have issues with the portrayal and representation. I disagree, but I know a lot of people, especially in the earlier stage of Nollywood, felt that way.
I mean, I wasn't allowed to watch Nollywood in my house.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
So when we were watching the Pretty Serpent,
All those things that you
Rattlesnake,
sneak to watch. Okay, so here's the thing. My dad bought the first Living in Bondage. My dad bought it and played it and we watched it together.
So
But after that,
So
it
the
was-
first living body was in Igbo, right?
yes.
Okay.
So I think it was a pride thing, you know.
Okay, yes. It's our own.
but we were one of the DVD buyers.
Yeah.
So no, VCD. No, not VCD.
What?
No,
Okay,
videotape.
cassettes
Yeah,
now,
videotape,
cassette,
videotape,
yes.
yeah.
And then after that, it was just, there's just too much juju. What's going on, And it was too deep for us young people. So he said we shouldn't watch.
So
And we
wait,
never
you did not watch the one where they put RMD inside bottle?
I'm sure I watched it because I used to sneak to watch some of them.
You did
but
not
yeah,
watch
I didn't
that
watch
one?
a lot of Nollywood films.
Wow.
You know? I mean before so there was an internet before I left I watched and then I
I
wondered.
remember that.
Yes.
RMD inside bottle.
Yes, it was quite something.
I'm trying to remember the title of the
because-
movie right
no,
now.
No, because somebody did something recently about it. That's why it flashback. Zikoko
No,
wrote an article
I'm trying to remember the
about
title of the
it.
movie.
Demon,
right
it's not
now.
something in a bottle. But anyway.
No, it wasn't. The bottle was just one scene, but I'm trying to remember the title of the movie.
Anyway, but yeah,
I'm
so
blanking.
Zikoko has a thing. So that movies you watch, so you don't have to. So if you
I will
search
look for it. Yes, I will find
they'll
it.
send it to you. But you see, and then I started watching when I was in uni. A bunch of us used to come together because at that time the pirates had started working. So they used to dub them and ship them abroad and sell them at the African stores.
20 in 1.
No, it wasn't there. It was
Okay,
the
was it?
VCDs. VCD. No, it was VCD, not DVD.
Yeah.
So it was VCD. So they could only. Yes, that's how old I am. Sorry, don't be annoyed. And so we had to do part 1, part 2, and I saw
Part one,
Omugo.
part two.
Like that was the first one we watched, the movie that I joined, and that was
What
one
film?
of Omugo.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the classic.
I haven't seen
you
that.
I haven't
it?
seen that one.
No, basically,
But I saw-
basically goes to do a Mugo because he said that his wife was enjoying doing a Mugo, so he decided to do
Just
it.
go and join.
Yes.
That's already hilarious.
No, but I remember Okemowo from Osofia in London, part 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Or was it that the DVD came in part 1 and 2?
It's possible. It's
But
both.
then I think there was also part 1 and 2. Osofia in London, that was like a classic. Then I remember going to South Africa, and then they were always talking about Mr. Ibu. And then I now got into watching Mr. Ibu stuff. And
And then
Did
Aki
you watch
and
Mr.
Popo.
Ibu Goes to School?
Wow.
I must have watched it because I saw all
on
of
that
them.
down because that's one of the ones that we watched in our movie nights. So literally a bunch of us. So funny enough, so I went to Duke, my friend went to North Carolina. We hated it. We were rival schools, but we were Nigerians. So we bonded over Nollywood movie nights.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's classic, man.
Really?
So wait, they didn't let you watch any Nollywood movies?
Not in my house. I never watch any of those things at home.
So
Not allowed.
when African Magic launched, was that when you started like on a daily basis, or were you buying DVDs before it launched?
Exactly. So, you go to school, in school with friends, we'll watch. So, Igodo, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, Igodo. Yeah.
Igo or Igondo? Igodo, where they-
Igondo is the place, Igodo is the
Right.
movie.
That is another one actually that we should remake. Oh, well, not we, but like Nollywood.
Wait,
We
but
should
there were like a
remake.
bunch of them back then where there were a bunch of people. I can't remember because there were a bunch of them where people were just wearing long clothes and
Yes.
leather, and then
But
they're
that
just
was
running
a
all over the
movie.
place.
That was a movie.
Really?
That was a movie crossing the 7 seas and 7 mountains and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
that was
the
a
Nigerian
fantastic
epic
film.
series.
So
Yeah.
I'm the first Nollywood premiere I went for. That wasn't mine. I think it wasn't before I started making movies. It was Across the Niger. Do you remember? We went for the premiere. Kingsley Ogoro did an Across the Niger
Across the Niger premiere. I was meant to go by then.
in GRA.
No, I was meant to go by
was that was not GRA? It was in Mobology Bank. It was,
Bank.
they opened that new place that they well, I guess it's
New
over
Metro.
10 years ago. No, it's not New Metro.
No.
It's an
No. Planet One.
Planet.
Planet One.
Was it Planet One?
Yeah, it was Planet One.
Yes, it was.
Yes. My brother. Yeah,
Yes,
it was
and
Planet One.
that was the first. I think that was the first Nollywood movie I saw on anything approximating cinema. Like after I moved back, I was like, yeah. I mean, I remember when they were like literally. So basically, let's not get political, but the story like they set up an action scene. Basically, like so they had to save people crossing on a train, like crossing the train across the River Niger, and they had to stop the. Anyway, yes. And so it was like a big action scene, and the ambition of the scene was like, and of course, Sake, who literally became one of our best guys, it was his
Hi,
film.
Sake.
I mean, and so
Thank you for your
so like so you see that like I mean like like Nollywood, like our ambition always exceeds our pocket always, and I think that's what has continued to propel us forward forever and ever and ever. And so when you look at and I think that is that spirit that animates us that are, I guess, second generation or third generation at this point? Probably third.
So if you look at it, okay, so what's first generation? First generation
will be
would
92 prior to VCD, right?
Wait, we're not calling Herbert Ogunde and Baba Salah uncle.
Well,
No.
I mean, I guess
That's
I guess,
cinema, but
I
those
guess
guys are cinema.
If that's first, then I guess
Yeah.
second.
Then we're third.
Then they were fourth.
Then we're fourth.
We're fourth now because
Yes.
Herbert Ogunde, Baba Salah, those guys were celluloid and all of that, and those ones were first. Then second would be who?
The VCD.
Will be
the
your
video cassette.
Your video cassette,
Living
your
in
living in bondage and
Bondage,
co.
yes, and-
Then you now have your followed by your
VCD DVD.
Your VCD DVD guys. So that's your Sandra Achong, your Sean George and co.
Yeah,
Right.
that late 90s. Well, the
I would
late.
say they were earlier with Living in Bondage.
No,
type.
but I would say that maybe the late 90s to the mid noughties, I guess. And then the African magic. I don't see. I'm not a scholar. Somebody should define the. Anyway, we started making films.
I don't understand that you guys were making films and you can't tell me that. You guys can't tell me the
No,
history of
you
film in
guys-
Nigeria.
No, because
What are you doing?
because
I'm-
that's
I'm-
because that's the other thing that is interesting, and it will be good. Just like it will be good to have the scholarly approach. The film history part of Nollywood is something that we need to
Documenting
figure
Nollywood.
out because
Documenting Nollywood.
because I think that there's not enough
Documenting
scholarship. I think, but there may be. Actually, that's because like how just like how people say people said they don't know about what's going on in our field, but it's like it will be good for us to find out if there's Nollywood scholarship that we can read and because
Scholarship?
Yes, not scholarship like articles, documentaries.
That kind of scholarship. I thought.
No, so like film history, like basically like if you
film
want-
history.
Yeah, so basically like how there's tons of scholarship about Hollywood, there's tons of scholarship about Korean cinema, about Indian practical cinema and regular Indian cinema. So like basically people study it as an academic pursuit. right?
Are we allowed to discuss Indian cinemas?
So
Because that's part of my childhood and that's part of nostalgia.
So Indian cinema is Nigerian. So that I think that one of the reasons why Nollywood travels so well is that we blend. Like we like our influences are Nigerian, Indian, American, Asian. Like we basically like watch everything. We're like a melange.
No, but
Spicy.
seriously, which Indian movies do you remember?
I just remember Sunita.
Remember Sunita? I remember Damendra number 10.
The three what? Idiots.
But that's relatively
That's
new.
British. That's not even Indian.
No,
That's
the
British.
Indian film. Is it Three Idiots?
Three Idiots or
Guys?
Three Lions?
So I'm sorry, classic Indian movies, yes. Three Idiots is also great because here's the funny thing.
But it's not British. What are you saying is
No,
British?
it's
Oh,
not
sorry, that's
British.
Three Lions.
No,
Sorry,
no, no.
that's
Three
Three
Idiots
Lions.
is not British. I'm saying that Three Idiots is new. We
Right.
can't. I mean,
But
are you?
is it
That's
new
like
like in
that's like
20?
It's like 10 years ago now.
So what,
No,
Bahubali?
really?
Wait,
It's like 10 years
is it at
ago.
the same time as Bahubali?
No,
No,
Bahubali
Bahubali
last
is
year,
like
2 years
no,
ago.
like 5 years ago.
5? Okay,
Yeah,
3.
about 2014, 2015.
Eh,
Yeah.
it's
So
same
Three
thing.
Idiots is like
Bahubali is a
2012.
bad one.
Oh, Bahubali, I remember, man. When it came on Netflix, we
Did
were
you guys
just
watch
like,
Burning Train when you guys were growing up? You guys did not watch Burning Train. You guys did not watch the original Naked the Pretty Serpent called Naji.
are you implying that they borrowed it? But we're talking about borrowing is fine, right?
we borrow,
So you can say it to your chest.
So yes, because I mean seriously, you guys
Oh,
did not watch.
That is actually hilarious. Do you know why? Because they said that we borrowed for the arbitration. There's an Indian movie that someone wrote that said this is that film, and I had never heard of the film before. So how do you know that I didn't present ahead of the film?
Because they basically ripped off Naked.
No, but that's what they
Naji.
said that we did on arbitration, and we had never heard of the film.
Nas, we don't know. We should check you now. Please. You're the one that wrote the movie, so.
We should check you.
Were we not only on set to say, hey, did you just present script to us and we're like, we like this one, change this, change that.
Yes.
Then we went to set.
Yes,
So-
let's just make sure we draw
I
this
mean,
line.
line
In case
there,
anybody's
please.
coming for anybody.
I mean, and
He's
so
dancing
and
over there.
Korean cinema is also becoming increasingly popular in Nigeria. Like, I mean, the K-pop dramas and all of not called the K-dramas or whatever.
K-drama.
I mean, are really big parts.
I don't know
of-
that one.
I mean, no.
I know
like-
Golden Harvest, which
No,
was.
but that's Hong Kong now.
Yes, that's what I
Jackie
said.
Chan.
That I know.
And now.
Golden Harvest. I know Bruce Lee and I know Jackie Chan.
No, but
and
you didn't
Donkey
watch.
Master.
You didn't watch what's his name, the John Woo stuff.
We should have a book segment where we can talk about books. Because all I've been doing is this. Yeah.
No, but you
Yeah.
watch, but you watch
wait,
Hong Kong films now. You didn't watch any of them. You didn't
Wait,
watch.
Hong Kong?
You didn't watch Police Story.
You didn't watch Police Story?
You didn't watch Armor of God.
Maybe
You didn't watch Once Upon a Time in China.
it's possible.
Wow. So yes. So
Okay,
books,
so
yeah,
what
cinema.
movies? So let's look at it.
In my
like
time
this.
capsule.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you had to create a movie time capsule, that look at these are the 3 movies that anyone should watch from like way back then.
Genre or any
Genre.
Any
but it has
in
to
life.
be old movies.
In life.
So you
Life.
cannot pick a movie since this is now 2021.
No,
so the
I
movie
like
has to be
Casablanca.
before
1990.
1990.
It has to be before 1990.
Before 1990.
Casablanca must enter.
Okay.
It has to be before 1990. So Casablanca can enter.
Oh, before 1990.
Yes.
Oh, definitely Casablanca.
Casablanca.
The one with Steve Martin and the other funny guy.
Which one? Dirty Rotten Scoundrel.
Yes, Dirty Rotten Scandal. It's before 1990.
No, it's not. It's after. It's like 92, 93.
No, it's not.
It is.
Go.
So Google is your friend.
it's,
Hold on.
it's
is.
definitely an
Why have we
80s
come
movie.
up with your?
How much?
No, it is.
Wait,
I
now.
know it's a 90s movie. Now I
Wait,
know.
continue now. Give me another name. Give me another movie. It is 1988. You're right.
Oh, wow. Woo. I
You're
was
right.
wrong.
You're
Dun,
right. You're right.
dun, dun, dun.
All right. So you're right. So Dirty Rotten Scoundrel, Casablanca. Give me another one.
Before
Before
I was
1990.
And you can add a Nollywood movie in there. If you
But
want.
I mean, Living
before
Body was
1990,
92.
I don't know. Hollywood movie before 1990. The third one I would tell you to watch, but they've taken it off the air now, so I guess you should have gone with the wind. But
Gone
you know,
with-
all
gone-
the racist stuff.
No. They put it back. They just put a disclaimer in front.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
so
movie
gone
was
with the
like
wind.
4 hours long.
Yeah.
That movie was like KOB
took me-
length and
It
extra.
took me maybe 2 years to actually watch it, but when I did, I loved it.
Okay, so we're going to give you those 3. Right?
Yes.
All right, Nas.
If I think of another one, I'll
Nas.
So I'm
your
going,
3 movies.
No, so basically, because I don't think that's fair, because 1990, as I said, excludes the majority of.
sorry.
No.
After I finish playing
Of
the
course,
game,
like,
now you want
see,
to
you
can't
reinvent.
change the rules.
No, your rules are your business.
You can't change the
Your
rules.
rules are your
19 it has to be
business.
before
Before
1990.
So in fact, it's not even just 3 that I'm giving you.
Okay, give us 5, but it must be before 1990.
I'm giving you one for each genre that I love so well.
We
I
don't
give you
care
another
what-
It's just
as
showing
long
off.
as it's
I
before
watched him, I watched
1990.
him.
No, so
I'm
so
a
my
G.
So my Nollywood film.
Before 1990.
It's not from 1990. You people, that's your business.
Before
That's your
1990.
business.
Please, I don't play the game again.
No,
Okay, let's go.
No, I'm playing
Cut
it. and
mic,
stop me.
cut his mic,
No,
cut mic.
no. So no, but let me tell you why. Because I want to include Rattlesnake because I remember seeing
You can
Rattlesnake.
include Naji.
No, because Rattlesnake and Ahana, when the excitement we had, we literally talked about Ahana.
Okay, we'll give you one.
Literally.
We'll
Then
give
if
you
it's about
one
that,
movie.
I'm including living in bondage.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
because
include
that
the-
was
So
the
like
film.
we talked about Ahana for 2 weeks, me and my sister.
Have you
and
guys
my
seen what I
cousins.
go through every time? These guys never just follow the rules. It's
Rules.
just
I mean,
like
if we
this.
follow the rules, we will not be here. You'll be an architect, you'll be a failed lawyer model, and I will be a financier somewhere.
The thunder.
But maybe I would have done
That
Flutterwave.
will strike you.
Maybe I would have done Flutterwave. Maybe.
See, this is what your life could have been. You could have been doing Flutter with the film. So now, okay. So you give me your 5 movies, or give me. So you've
Yes.
added what do you call it?
Rattlesnake.
Yes.
Yes.
You're only
Yeah, I've
allowed
added
one
Living in
movie
Bondage.
after the 90s. So
No,
you
that's
added-
it. No, that's it. So that's it.
Living
So,
in
so it's
Bondage.
like literally like
Rattlesnake.
Rattlesnake was so exciting for
All right,
us.
Rattlesnake next.
Okay, so Hard Boiled. It's a John Woo with Chow Yun Fat. That movie busted my brain.
Yeah. They
Chow
shoot it
Yun
on-
Fat,
they
is
shoot
he
it on
still
channel-
alive?
they shoot
That
it
movie
on-
literally
on
Yun Fat.
STV8. Yeah, him and his brother. He was like the gangster, then his brother was like a cop, and then both of them had to like.
No,
I
that's
enjoyed his
no,
films.
that's not Hard Boiled.
That's not Hard Boiled?
Hard Boiled is the one with the shootout in the hospital.
Yes, now don't hospital where there was water draining.
Yes,
yeah.
it wasn't his brother. It was his friend. It wasn't his brother.
They were like brothers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a very weird technical argument, and me, I feel stupid having argued it. So I apologize to everybody.
So hard boiled, rattlesnake.
So this third one, so this is a cheat, right? Sorry, don't be annoyed.
Oh my God.
No. So like literally, I just realized I couldn't pick one, so there are 3 in 1.
Hard boiled is also.
No. So my Hollywood one is 3 in 1. Like it's weird.
Say it.
Yes. Wow. I mean, please.
Because the game is already.
Don't rush me, please. So it is 7 Bites for 7 Brothers, My Fair Lady, and King and I. The reason why it's
So
3
that's
in
it.
1.
Those are all your movies, I mean.
No,
those are your 5 movies.
No, because it's 1. Because I used to watch the 3 of them every weekend, like literally for a while.
Okay.
It's 3 in 1.
So you
Each
finish.
of,
That's the end
each
of the
of those
answers.
movies was 3 hours long.
Yes,
King and I
so
was
over a
great.
weekend we used to watch it like
King
that.
and I was
complete.
good. That's a
No,
good
that's 3 because I haven't given you
No,
my...
we don't care.
Okay,
We
we
don't-
finished.
Five.
You mean you had more?
No, because that was
You have
Hollywood.
already given us 5.
I've done
Thank
Hollywood.
you.
You
It's
said
okay.
Rattlesnake is
God
fine.
bless you.
Nollywood.
Thank you.
I haven't even
Yeah,
gotten
The
to
game is
Bollywood.
over.
Ah, sorry. Okay, fine.
It's okay.
Fine.
All right, cool.
I will slip my Bollywood under the door.
If you guys are like that, since you guys are all breaking the rules, you know me, I'm the master of breaking rules. John Wick, number 1. And then let me now tell you about what happened in John Wick.
No,
So
that's
we
your
have
special.
So John Wick. Then I'm going to now talk about Karate Kid.
Okay.
Classic. It made my life. I was one of those kids where I
Did
wanted
you try
to
and do the kick?
always.
How many times did you enjoy yourself?
At all. I was very good at it. I just wasn't good at anything else. Then, if I were
Guys.
to add, what they call it? It's weird. This is a weird one, but Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, of course.
Part one.
I mean, I inhaled Back to the Future. I
Back
watched
to the
it on
Future,
loop as
Part
well.
1. If I were to pick a Nigerian movie,
You've done your okay.
yeah. So if I now to pick a Nigerian movie from way back then, I would pick Osofia.
Okay.
Osofia in London.
It's not way back, oh.
Is that
Sophia is noughties now.
It's like it's either 99 or 2001.
Like,
It's around
like-
that. It's around that period.
Should-
It's around
should
that
we
period.
Google this one
The first
too?
one, yes, it's around that. It's around that period.
Osofia in London. was-
Sophia is around like
No, be-
2003.
No, because I was in uni when I saw Omugo. That was 2002, and I'm almost positive that Omugo was after Osofia. That's roughly.
Okay, I'm not saying this on my full chest, but I feel like it's 2003.
All right, so
No, but that was
clearly,
because-
it's clearly before 90s. All right, cool. So let me see.
I shall Google.
If I were to, I can't think of anyone that is before 1990, for whatever. But the last one that I would add would be, hey God, dude. Movie classic, Sound of Music.
Yeah, I love Sound of Music. Sound of Music, but
Fun fact, I watched Sound of Music maybe 8 years ago or something.
yeah, Sound of Music. I see that movie.
Why are you in Inkblot?
Guys,
Why are you in Inkblot?
Sophia in London is 2003. See,
So
I
that-
need
so,
to.
So wait. Okay, so I assumed it was earlier than Omugo, because
Or maybe you just watched it late.
Are you kidding?
no,
You watched
because,
Omugo. I don't know.
no, because I was in. I remember the year that was because I remember the house I was in. when
And it
I
was
watched
directed
Omugo.
and produced by Kingsley Oguro.
Yeah, it was.
Also.
That's very interesting. So, that's a false memory because in my head, right, I saw Sophia long before I saw Omugo.
So
but
it's-
I clearly didn't.
Yep.
Because
So
I saw.
Glamour
Okonkwo in
Girls. When was
2002.
Glamour Girls? When was Glamour Girls?
Glamour Girls was in the 90s. I can't remember what year, but it was in the 90s.
So Glamour Girls 2004?
So, guys, this is what happens every time. And you are not making me the bad cop for our listeners. The film has finished. The podcast has ended.
Who said it has ended? We say it has ended when we want
say
it
it has
to
ended.
end.
Have you done your outro?
Have you done outro? So do outro.
I always do the outro.
Okay, Zulu, do outro.
So guys, this was meet and greet with these 3 superstars.
I am ready for my close-up.
No,
but zoom in.
Yeah, so
Don't zoom in.
please check us out on our YouTube channel. Check us on all your podcast stations.
Yes, and with funny clips on Instagram, even though this one there will not be as funny clips because Damola is being mean about coming to America too. Nostalgia for life.
Well, no, believe me, we will put it there. All the bad things about coming to America too is available in the show notes. Please check it. I will write it out for you.
Typing it out himself.
I'm typing it out myself. As
All right, thanks guys. See you next time. Peace.
Bye.
Guys.
No.
Wait.
I'm talking. You people are badly behaved. These people have refused to end the episode so much so that they came back.
Wait.
So let them do what they came back to do.
We have to tell you about one movie that we forgot. Which
Can
one?
you see them all?
Diamond
Ring.
We've named 20 movies.
Teju Babyface. That was the movie where I was like,
oh my goodness, I can't.
Awesome movie. RMD was also in that movie, right?
Yes.
So
Diamond Ring.
So weirdly,
And Shola Shobowale
I have never
also
seen
there.
it.
You've
This
never
was
seen-
like wedding.
that's why you like
like
this.
wedding. This was like wedding party 2. When it was like wedding party before wedding party was wedding party.
Wedding
Tell
party.
them.
So I heard about the remake and I was like, everybody was like, very excited.
Oh no,
Like,
Diamond Ring was
Please,
just way up.
let's do a
every
remake of
Nigerian's
it. Let's do a
idea.
remake
so,
of Diamond
Fantastic.
Ring.
what
Yes.
I think he announced one that he was thinking of doing one.
We can talk
Okay.
Teju Babyface. I beg. Will you come?
He's not the
And
one
we'll
that owns the rights. I just start inside.
Anyway,
Anyway, so what else? So my homework from this episode is that
You go and watch
I want to
Diamond
know
Ring.
what these people are jumping up and down because everybody has random holes in their filmography or film, whatever. I will watch Diamond Ring and I will report back.
You only have one hole. Zulu's hole is like this big.
My own
It's a chasm.
Like
Now,
there's nothing.
bye-bye,
I was gonna say
bye-bye, bye-bye.
crazy.
Say bye-bye. Wow, thank you.
Traffic
God.
biscuits.